Welcome to Bedtime Stories to calm you and restore your soul, to give the restful sleep you need. It's time to find a comfortable place to relax. Lie back, close your eyes, and take a few deep, cleansing breaths. Prepare yourself to embark on a magical journey of relaxation and soul restoration. Let the peaceful story guide you to a place of inner calm and renewal. First, let me take you to the tropics, where Leo is out on his sailboat. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting a golden glow on the calm ocean, Leo spotted something strange in the distance. It was an island, small, lush, and vibrant, yet missing from his sailing chart. He had sailed these waters many times, and no one had ever mentioned an island in this part of the sea. Curiosity tugged at him. Leo adjusted the sail and steered his boat toward the mysterious land. As he approached, he noticed a dock jutting out into the turquoise water, and with careful precision, he tied his boat to one of the posts. Stepping onto the dock, he saw her. A beautiful young woman stood at the far end, her flowing dress rippling in the light breeze. She had long dark hair that cascaded over her shoulders and eyes that seemed to sparkle with a secret knowledge. "Who are you?" Leo asked, walking toward her. "And how did this island get here? It's not on any chart." She smiled softly, her eyes never leaving his. "In time I will explain," she said, her voice calm and melodic. "For now, come with me." Without another word, she turned and began walking toward a path that led through a grove of palm trees. Leo hesitated for only a moment before following her. The path opened up to a stunning beach house nestled among the sand dunes. It was a charming, sun-washed cottage with weathered white wood and large windows that faced the ocean. The roof was thatched with palm leaves, giving it a rustic yet elegant touch. A wide porch wrapped around the house, adorned with comfortable wicker chairs and soft cushions in shades of turquoise and coral. Glass lanterns hung from the porch beams, swaying gently in the breeze. Inside, the beach house was as lovely as the outside. The living room was open and airy, with whitewashed walls and a ceiling lined with exposed wooden beams. The furniture was simple but luxurious. Soft couches draped with light linen, shelves filled with seashells, and vibrant tropical flowers placed in glass vases. The scent of salt water and fresh jasmine floated through the air. "Please, sit," the woman said, gesturing to a chair near the window. "There's much to tell, and much you'll need to understand." Leo felt a strange mix of wonder and unease. As he sat down, the island seemed to pulse with an ancient energy, as if the very land itself had a story to share, one that was as mysterious as the woman who stood before him. Leo gazed out the window of the beach house, his breath catching as he spotted two majestic horses grazing near the shore. Their coats gleamed in the sunlight, one as white as freshly fallen snow, the other a deep, velvety black. They stood tall and elegant, their manes flowing like silk in the breeze. Despite their size and power, there was something gentle and inviting in their demeanor. The woman, who had yet to reveal her name, broke the silence. "Are you hungry?" she asked, her voice soft and soothing. Leo hadn't realized how hungry he was until she mentioned it. "Yes," he replied, a hint of curiosity in his voice. A knowing smile played across her lips. "The horses will take us down to the pond, where a picnic awaits." Without a saddle or bridle, the horses seemed to understand their role. The woman led Leo outside, and with an effortless motion, she mounted the black horse. Leo hesitated, unsure, but to his surprise, the white horse dipped its head gently, almost as if encouraging him. Clumsily, he swung himself onto the horse's back. Despite never having ridden before, Leo felt safe, as though the horse knew exactly what to do. The horses moved in perfect harmony, trotting along a narrow path that cut through a grove of palm trees. The sea breeze and the rhythmic motion of the horses calmed Leo, the tension in his body ebbing away. He had never felt this serene before. Soon, they arrived at the pond. It was a tropical paradise, a still pool of crystal clear water, surrounded by towering palms and lush greenery. Brightly colored flowers dotted the landscape, and the air was fragrant with the scent of hibiscus and orchids. The water shimmered under the dappled sunlight, creating a tranquil mirror that reflected the vibrant blue sky. Next to the pond, a blanket had been laid out on the soft grass. Spread upon it were fruits, juicy mangoes, sweet pineapples, and ripe bananas, alongside a selection of cheese, freshly baked bread, and a bottle of wine. They dismounted the horses, who quietly wandered off to graze nearby. They sat by the pond and ate heartily. The food was simple yet delicious, and the wine had a rich, comforting taste. As they finished their meal, Leo felt a wave of deep relaxation wash over him, more than he had experienced in years. Finally, he looked at the woman, his curiosity bubbling to the surface once again. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice quiet but eager. She smiled, her eyes glinting with mystery. "Elva," she replied softly. "Why are you here, on this island?" Leo asked, feeling more at ease but still filled with questions. Elva stood and gestured toward a path leading deeper into the forest. "I will tell you more, but first, let me show you something. A waterfall where we can swim." They mounted the horses once more and followed the path to a hidden oasis. The sound of rushing water grew louder as they neared. Finally, they emerged from the trees to see the waterfall cascading down a cliff, crashing into a pool of pure, clear water below. The waterfall was magnificent, its water catching the sunlight and creating rainbows in the mist. Surrounding the pool was a sandy beach, warm and inviting, with smooth rocks scattered along the shore. The water was so clear that Leo could see the sandy bottom even from a distance. They swam for what felt like hours, the cool water refreshing against their sun-warmed skin. Leo felt weightless, as though all his worries had dissolved in the crystalline pool. When they finally emerged, towels and a soft blanket had been laid out for them on the beach, as if the island itself had prepared for their comfort. As they sat on the blanket, drying off under the sun, Leo turned to Elva, his heart full of gratitude but still filled with wonder. "Now you have to tell me, who are you? And how did you and this island just appear out of nowhere? It's not on any chart." Elva met his gaze, her deep eyes filled with wisdom. "I come from the many worlds that exist in parallel to your own," she explained. "Some of us are able to move between these worlds, to bring peace and healing. When I saw you on your sailboat, I could sense the weight you were carrying, your troubled mind, the stress and concerns of your life. I knew you needed rest." Leo's heart raced at her words, but he felt no fear. Instead, a profound sense of serenity settled over him. He knew, in his soul, that she was telling the truth. The calm he had felt since stepping onto the island was more than just a physical relaxation. It was a deep, spiritual peace. "But why me?" he asked softly, his voice filled with wonder. Elva reached out and gently touched his chest, over his heart. "Because of the purity of your spirit," she said. "You are more connected to the world around you than you realize." They stayed in silence for a moment, the sounds of the waterfall filling the air. Finally, Elva stood. "It's time to return." They mounted the horses once again and rode back to the dock where Leo's sailboat was waiting. As they reached the end, Leo turned to Elva, a deep sense of gratitude filling his heart. "Thank you," he said softly, "for this incredible experience." Elva smiled, her eyes shimmering with warmth. "You will carry this peace with you, even after you leave." Leo untied his boat and stepped aboard, pushing off from the dock. He waved to Elva as the wind filled his sails. She waved back, her figure growing smaller as the boat drifted away. As he sailed into the open sea, Leo turned to look back, hoping to catch one last glimpse of the island. But there was nothing. The island had vanished, as though it had never existed at all. I hope you found this enchanting story both relaxing and soothing for your mind and spirit. May peace be with you. Next, we'll meet Amy out on her Sunday hike. It was early on a Sunday morning when Amy parked her car at the side of the road, right next to the trailhead. She had hiked this trail countless times before. It was a short drive from her apartment, but it always felt like a world away. The forest, thick with towering evergreen trees, stretched in front of her, the smell of pine and damp earth filling the air. It amazed her how such a lush, thriving forest could exist so close to a busy freeway. The faint hum of traffic was barely audible, blending into the background like white noise. That's the Pacific Northwest for you, she thought, a smile tugging at her lips. The blend of wilderness and urban life was something she cherished. Hiking was her escape, her way to meditate. As a civil engineer, Amy's work life was full of meetings with developers, city planners, and permitters. Though she loved the design part of her job, the endless bureaucracy often left her drained. Today, however, was different. It was her time, her chance to reset. She could feel her phone vibrating in her pocket, buzzing with texts and social media notifications. But she ignored it all. The world could wait. The trail was familiar, thick with ferns, the ground damp from recent rain. The air was crisp, and the scent of moss and wood filled her lungs as she walked. Overhead, the sky peeked through the trees in patches of pale blue, and somewhere in the distance, she could hear the soft chatter of a stream. As Amy trekked deeper into the forest, she noticed a narrow path branching off to her left. She paused. Odd. She had never seen that trail before. Curiosity sparked within her. Perhaps it was new. Without much thought, she turned and followed it. The path opened into a beautiful meadow, the kind that seemed untouched by time. The tall grasses swayed gently in the breeze, dotted with wildflowers, bright yellows, purples, and whites. Butterflies fluttered lazily above the blooms, while dragonflies skimmed across the surface of a small, tranquil pond. The water was so still, it mirrored the sky perfectly. But what truly caught Amy's eye was the woman standing by the pond's edge. She was strange, out of place. Unlike Amy in her hiking boots and athletic wear, the woman wore a flowing white dress that shimmered faintly with a blue sheen. Her bare feet pressed into the soft earth, and her blonde hair cascaded down her back in a mass of loose curls. Her eyes, clear and blue as the pond behind her, were startling. "Hello," Amy called out, approaching cautiously. The woman smiled. "Hi, Amy." Amy stopped short, her heart skipping. "How do you know my name?" The woman's smile deepened. "We have much to talk about. Shall we take a walk?" Amy hesitated, her head tilting to the side. This was bizarre, but her curiosity outweighed her wariness. "All right," she murmured, and followed the woman. As they moved away from the meadow and back into the forest, a mist began to gather, swirling around them. It thickened until Amy could barely see her own hand in front of her face. Then, just as quickly as it had come, the mist cleared, revealing a forest unlike any she had ever seen. The trees here were different, tall and ancient, but their leaves glowed with an iridescent hue, as if someone had switched on a blacklight. The air shimmered, and the sky above them was no longer blue but a soft, pale pink. Everything felt dreamlike. "Wait," Amy said, reaching out to touch the woman's arm. "What is this place? Am I dead?" The woman chuckled softly. "No, of course not. Come, we'll talk up ahead." In the distance, Amy saw an open pavilion nestled among the trees. It was crafted from dark wood and stone with a large river rock fireplace at its center. Flames flickered warmly, casting a golden glow. In front of the fireplace stood a table set with breakfast foods, croissants, fresh fruit, and steaming cups of coffee. The table itself was simple but elegant, made of smooth oak with two comfortable-looking chairs pulled up to it. Amy's stomach growled as she sat down. The scent of freshly brewed coffee was intoxicating, and she wasted no time in pouring herself a cup. The warmth of the mug felt grounding in her hands. She tore off a piece of the buttery croissant and popped it into her mouth, savoring the taste. "All right," Amy said, setting her cup down. "What is this place? And who are you?" The woman smiled gently. "This planet is called Anidos, and my name is Ain." Amy blinked, trying to process. "How is that possible?" "I'm sure you've heard of the many worlds theory," Ain said, her voice calm and soothing. "Well, this is one of those worlds. There are people who can move between worlds. I'm one of them," Ain replied simply. Amy, still skeptical, searched Ain's eyes for deception, but found none. Somehow, deep down, she knew it was true. "Let's finish our breakfast," Ain said. Then I'll take you to the hot springs, and we'll talk more. They ate quietly, the crackle of the fire the only sound. Amy felt peaceful, almost as if she had been here before, though she knew she hadn't. After they finished, Ain led Amy down another path, this one winding toward a bubbling hot spring. Large, smooth rocks surrounded the pool, and a stream fed into it, the water crystal clear. The plants around the spring were luminous, their leaves glowing softly in the pinkish light. Amy dipped her toes into the water, feeling the warmth spread up her legs. The bottom of the spring was sandy, with small bubbles rising gently to the surface. "All right, Ain," Amy said, sinking deeper into the water. "I'm ready to learn more." Ain smiled. "You remember the double-slit experiment, yes?" Amy nodded, though she wasn't sure where this was going. "Well," Ain continued, "think of it this way. When particles are unobserved, they behave like waves, full of potential. But when observed, they behave as your mind expects them to." Amy furrowed her brow. "So, this place is something my mind is creating? At a quantum level?" "In a way, yes. What you're seeing, feeling, it's what your mind can comfortably comprehend." Amy was quiet for a moment. "Why me? Why am I here?" "Let's get dried off first," Ain said, rising from the water. Nearby, 2 comfortable chairs waited, towels draped over their backs. The chairs were deep and cushioned, made from polished wood, with soft, cream-colored fabric. The towels were thick and warm, wrapping Amy in comfort as she dried off and dressed. Once seated, Ain leaned forward. "Tell me about your life, Amy." Amy explained her career as a civil engineer, how she loved the idea of designing and creating but often felt stifled by the endless meetings and paperwork. "It's a great job," she admitted, "but I feel overwhelmed and burned out sometimes." "If you could create anything," Ain asked, "what would it be?" Amy thought for a moment. "I'd work with clay. I've always wanted to make sculptures, large ones, of people and animals." Suddenly, there was a rustling in the bushes. Amy's heart raced for a moment. But what emerged wasn't some wild creature. It was a dog. A large, pure white dog. He bounded toward her, stopping and sitting at her feet and placing a paw on her knee. "What's a dog doing here?" Amy asked, half laughing, half startled. "This," Ain said with a smile, "is Porthos." The dog looked up at her with one brown eye and one blue, his tongue lolling out in a goofy grin. "He is a cute dog." Amy thought. "Thank you," Porthos said, his voice deep and calm. Amy gasped. "Oh no, a talking dog? This can't be real." Porthos chuckled. "I'm not just a dog. I'm going to be your lifelong companion." "Well, I don't know anything about taking care of a dog and don't know if I want one," said Amy. "That's okay. Don't worry, Amy. I'll grow on you and I know all about taking care of a dog. I'll teach you. It'll be fun," Porthos replied. "But why me?" said Amy. "Well," Porthos said with a shrug, "Ain was telling me about you. I thought, well, I haven't had an adventure on the planet you call Earth for some time, and Ain said we would make a good team." Amy looked between Porthos and Ain and shook her head. "I think I've been set up." They all laughed. Ain rose from her chair. "It's time for you to go back." Amy stood as well, and Ain handed her a red leather collar and leash. "May I?" Amy asked, holding the collar up to Porthos. "Of course," Porthos replied. "And for the record, red is my favorite color. If I'm going to endure the indignity of being leashed, at least I'll look good." Amy laughed and clicked the collar into place. "At least he has a sense of humor," Amy thought. "Yes, I do, and many more talents as well," said Porthos. Amy forgot Porthos could read her mind. Porthos reassured Amy that he could only read her thoughts if she was thinking of him or conversing with him. Amy was thankful for that. They made their way back through the mist and into the meadow, where Amy hugged Ain goodbye. "Thank you," Amy said softly. "It was my pleasure," Ain replied with a warm smile. Amy clicked the leash on Porthos. As Amy and Porthos walked back down the trail, they passed a few hikers with their dogs. Porthos played his part well, wagging his tail and trotting along like any ordinary dog. Amy smiled to herself, feeling calm and confident. When they reached her car, Porthos jumped into the back seat, and Amy slid into the driver's seat, starting the engine. As she pulled onto the road, she glanced in the rearview mirror and saw Porthos grinning at her. "Oh, by the way," Porthos said, "I don't do dog parks." "Noted," Amy replied with a smile as they drove toward home. Amy rolled down the back window and Porthos hung his head out of the open window. I hope you found this enchanting story both relaxing and soothing for your mind and spirit. May peace be with you. Thank you so much for listening. If these magical tales brought calm and restoration to your soul, please don't forget to tap the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Your support will allow me to continue creating heart-soothing and mind-calming stories.